I've always been fascinated by game worlds and exploration. Ever since I was a kid, creating games on paper, I've wanted to build these worlds. So for the last 6 years, I've been on a journey, learning Unity, art, design, and programming in order to make it a reality. In the game I'm building, you play a cartographer, tasked with mapping out the vampire-infested steamboat trade routes of 1800s America. There's a heavy emphasis on atmosphere, inspired by these old masters' paintings. I want the world to be both terrifying, yet calming and beautiful at the same time. A desolate place, full of mystery. The themes of the game explore many topics, like American horror myths, fear of the mountains and woods, the adventure found along the Mississippi River steamboat trade, and Southern American culture of the time. Since navigating and exploring the environment is a major part of the game, I've built many custom level design tools inside Unity that directly support the vision. The first major system I developed is the terrain. Here's how it works. It's a relatively simple setup. First, we define the world size and divide it into chunks. Each chunk is a flat plane mesh that is instanced. Instancing is a fancy way of saying I'll instruct the GPU to efficiently draw the same mesh multiple times in different locations. But considering the cost of rendering these chunks, we'd like to decrease detail and use less of them as the environment fades off in the distance. So for this, I use the player position and a quad tree data structure to divide the world into regions. These regions represent the scale of the instanced meshes. The added benefit of simplifying geometry in the distance is stronger shapes, contributing to that painterly feel. Each chunk can then sample the world height map according to its position to retrieve its height value. Then it combines a splat map with procedural texturing to receive its color value. But how do the height and color values get set? This is where we get into the core aspects of world and level design. The general idea lies in another tool I developed called Generator Volumes. It's essentially a volume where a sequential set of rules is applied to alter the terrain, lay out game elements, perform level generation, scatter assets, or do whatever is needed. To emulate the style of old masters and promote good level design, we start with generating shapes. See, I am obsessed with shapes. The simpler, the better. The theory is that with simple shapes, we can combine them to create complex, naturalistic structures. From here, we can introduce pre-made assets and predefined placement rules in order to create the vast world we desire. The great thing about these volumes is they are modular and can be moved anywhere. And since these volumes hold generation rule sets, they don't actually have to exist before we need them. This means we can stream the world on the go, not having to store massive amounts of data in memory. Now it's time to populate the world with history. America in the 19th century, during the wild steamboat trade and time of the Civil War, has a deep history with many stories to tell. Add in the striking mountains and vast unsettling forests along the Mississippi, and you've got a strong setting to explore. Now, this game is not meant to be historically accurate, but I will definitely take massive inspiration from the reality of the time. I'd like to start by populating the world with architecture. I feel this is the first step toward telling the stories and understanding the era. These locations also double as key areas to discover and mark on your map as you fulfill your duties as a cartographer. As a solo dev, I need to save time whenever possible. It's important to establish workflows that achieve this. For the architecture, the modeling is its own thing, and apart from using pre-made assets, it just takes time to get the shapes and design correct. But on the texturing side, I'll now demonstrate a couple techniques I've discovered to efficiently texture large-scale assets, like this church. With some clever thought, we can use a base material and then alter it with a set of masks representing paint, dirt, water damage, or any other aspect we'd like to highlight. To showcase the technique, let's texture the church walls first and then apply the ideas as a whole to the rest of the building. We place a wood material on the sides to get started. In this case, I'll work backwards, adding the paint on top. Using a simple black and white texture as a mask, I'll tweak the color, saturation, value, normal, and smoothness until it appears a coat of paint is laid over top. However, at this point it looks a little bad, with noisy detail everywhere. To take back some control, I painted in vertex colors on the model, which we will use to specify where the details are applied. Then it's just a matter of combining the masks to get the look we are after. And that's the technique: strong masks, texture adjustments, and an emphasis on where detail occurs. And because painters generally simplify their shapes when representing reality, if done properly, the masking contributes to the painterly feel. I'll then apply a similar technique to the doors, siding, and roof. And with this semi-procedural texturing, the asset practically textures itself. In the end, the advantage is not just that it's fast and looks good, but also that it results in a lower memory budget and can potentially lead to a massive reduction of materials and textures. The whole church is just a couple tiled materials with clever masks, resulting in less draw calls and more performance. I hope you enjoyed this introduction video into the world design process of my game. If you enjoyed this content and would like to see more, please like the video and subscribe for future updates. I'd love to hear your thoughts about the techniques discussed or the game idea as a whole in the comments. Until next time, thanks for watching.